Now, I trust that last week's simple mini goal-setting video and your daily brain training audios on finding financial opportunity was a great start for you. And what I promise, it gets better and better, and you will notice changes like you've never seen before over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Now, when you do your daily audios, not only are you creating and reinforcing new powerful patterns in your brain, you are actually priming your brain to help you focus on whatever it is that you're listening to and imagining and feeling. So in essence, you are leading your brain to be more aware and more in alignment with whatever it is that you are hearing, visualizing, feeling, and experiencing. And so one of the things I want you to remember is that if you can get any sound or an image into your brain through any of your senses, whether it's hear, see, smell, taste, or touch, your brain begins to encode it and it creates a pattern for that experience. And the more you do it, the more powerful it becomes, and the more you reinforce it with each session. Just like an exercise session with weights or walking upstairs or even biking empowers your body and some of your organs, exercise is the new way to empower your brain. So today, I'm going to start on a series, called Your Money Story. And it's really about your relationship with money. And this particular segment and a few of the other segments around your money story come from the new Money Story Roadmap for Money Mastery by David Kruger, who you've seen on the Brainathon. And he is part of our faculty and just an amazing individual. So when you think about your money story, you've been writing a money story that you may not really be aware of, even though it's a very personal story with its own history and language for you. And your money story, for the most part, is highly visible to others, but it's usually not visible to you. And it's a story that you talk about every single day. You think about it many times a day, and it's remarkably simple, yet it's very, very complex as well. Because when you think of your money story, it has an internal and an external dialogue. And for the most part, it's a secret language that has encrypted messages within that. And money can be complicated because there's unspoken things that happen around money that are unconscious. There's an emotional aspect to money, and your money story is probably the longest relationship you'll ever have in your life. Your parents discussed it before you were born. People will deliberate it after you die, and maybe you'll get 10 years out of a car or maybe 50 years with your spouse, but the story that you have in here around money that you never stop writing will be with you from the day you're born to the day you die. And you really can't break up with it, run away from it, or coaxing it into loving you. Even though your money story has been mostly unexamined and elusive, you make so many of your life decisions around it. And the beautiful thing is that you can determine the genre of the story, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whether it ends up with tragedy or triumph. And the story ghost writes from every aspect of your life, from what you choose to eat or drink and wear, to the plans that you make, to the health, to your recreation, to your stress, and everything else around you that requires money. And so if you think about money, you've used your money story to regulate how you feel. You've used money to either increase or decrease self-esteem and self-worth, to influence others, to soothe emotional pains. And what you will recognize is that how you live this money story will be what you teach your children, what they see in your behavior, and what they hear as your beliefs will be what they incorporate in their own lives. And so you'll either, look at it as a villain or a hero, and money is probably one of the most popular legal substances in the world, and it speaks to you. It speaks to you with how you see money, how you speak about money. And there are two main questions I want you to consider. Two main questions I want you to consider. And the first one is this: what is your money story? I don't need you to answer that right now, but I want you to start considering that. But what is your money story right now? And the second question is, what would you ideally like your money story to be? What is your money story, and what would you like your money story to be? And you may not fully understand what a money story is yet, and so let's really discuss your money story, what it is and what it isn't, okay? And in probably about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you to go down to the journal and put some of your thoughts and ideas around your money story in just a few moments. So that we'll take some breaks. This is about a 30-minute session or so, so I'm going to break it up into 2 or 3 segments. And so think about this. Your money story is not your income, your expenses, your assets, your debts, or even your net worth. Your money story is the entire relationship that you have with money. And a story basically has a plot and a storyline, and that really creates your autobiography around money. So your money story is the secret language of money at work. It's the unconscious story that you consistently, repeatedly tell yourself about what you say with it, what money means to you, what money says about you. And it's continuously running internal and external dialogue about how much do you deserve? How much do you think you're worth? How much are you capable of earning? The story is all about what would happen if you had more money. What would happen if you had less money? And money says whatever you tell it to, and it conveys a message. The wonder of money is that it can represent anything, and it's a stand-in for what we idealize and desire, and also what we fear and lack, for what we covet, crave, spurn, chase, or follow. And we use money to show how much we care or how little we care. We use it to measure success and buy happiness, or at least we try to. We use it to bolster our self-esteem, to regulate our moods through shopping or buying, or to influence others. And we use money as a tool for communication. And so when you think about this money story, we give money meaning. We breathe life into it, give it emotional value, build a relationship with it, and make it bigger than it really is. Now, we use money to soothe emotional pain, to buy the respect of others, and even to make ourselves feel good. And so money can make any statement. And what people say and do are inevitable, unavoidable self-statements about their beliefs and their personal realities with and around money. And so all that you say about yourself is a story about money, because money stories manifest through self-statements. Let me repeat that. Money stories manifest through self-statements. And so the story tells most about the teller and the beliefs that they have. So whatever your money story is, money can be a proclamation of freedom, a currency for caring, a promissory note for happiness, an embodiment of security, proof of self-worth, a license for opportunity, an instrument of control, somewhat control. And so think about some of the money stories that go on. When we see a new car and we want that car, what we're really doing is we're acting out a money story. And just below our consciousness, we're adding a plot line to our money story that says, this car will show others what I'm worth. Or, this will make people respect me when they see me driving this car. This car will validate me. This car will make me feel and look good. So you see how there's the top line story, but then there's an underlying story? We use money in our self-talk, and the messages we tell ourselves, okay, are all within the internal beliefs that we have around money. And so we may have these internal beliefs of people who have significant money are lucky, or people who have money are different from me, or people, have to work hard to make money, or truly spiritual people don't have money or wealth, or money will buy happiness, or money will mean the same to everyone. What I want you to understand is that we have external and internal dialogues about money. In just a second, I will ask you, okay, to go down to the journal and just write out a few of your money story ideas. So here's what I want you to do. Just write this down in the journal under the assignment. Just write, money is. Okay, money is, and just write down as many things as you can about what money is, and then come back here and I'm going to start talking about the external dialogue, okay, that happens around money. So pause the video right now, go down to the journal, and in the assignment, just write the answer to what is money. So money is, and write out as many things that money is part of your internal and external dialogue, and then come right back. All right, welcome back. If you could see the answers that people write about what money is, it's amazing how many different types of answers there are. There's no two people that really say money is, the same way. And so there is an internal and an external dialogue around money. And let's talk about the external dialogue. And part of what keeps the language of money a secret for the most part is the fact that it remains largely unspoken. Our social conventions create unusual pairings of spoken and unspoken agreements. And so we can speak, for example, of a woman's dress size, but not her weight. We can discuss the cost of plastic surgery, but we don't like to discuss our age. We can debate financial markets and economics, but not personal income or debt. And if you asked a host, at a dinner party, for example, how much do you make? You probably wouldn't be invited to the next dinner. If you asked, how much debt do you, and your spouse or significant other have? And they'll probably show you to the door and kick you out because the external dialogue around money, for the most part, is hidden. And then there's the internal dialogue. And what happens with internal dialogue is while we may not speak openly of something, our inner voice is always having a conversation. And we have this inner dialogue in our minds before we make any decisions to exchange money or to make money, or even our time and energy as it associates with money for something else. And so every exchange involves two asking prices. There's a financial and an emotional asking price. And the conversation in many cases around this is usually very silent and automatic. And so when you think about, spending money, you may rationalize spending. So it may seem like a lot of money to spend, on a big TV, but if you spread it out over, 2 or 3 years and it's only dollars a day, you change the internal dialogue around money. And even though we regard the same dollar differently depending on how it's obtained, all right, there's another internal dialogue around how you make money and how you can spend it. So for example, if you find money, you can spend it frivolously. If somebody gave you money, you could probably spend it without debate. If you've earned money as far as a salary or through your business or investments, then you probably will spend it after serious consideration. If you've saved money for either retirement or in your savings account, you may be hard-pressed to let it go without it being an emergency or something that it absolutely has to go by. So what I want you to recognize is money is treated differently based on the context of how it was earned or achieved. And money speaks to us. And let me share with you what I mean by that. There was a study in which volunteers had their brains scanned using fMRI brain scan, which is functional magnetic resonance imaging technology. And they used these subjects, these individuals, to scan their brains while they tasted 5 Cabernet Sauvignons, a wine. And so what I want you to recognize is that the volunteers were told, okay, before this tasting, that the price of each of the wines, okay, was a certain amount. So they rated the wines, as you might expect, according to the price of the wines. The most expensive one was the best, all the way down to the least expensive as the last one. And guess what? Based on what they were told the price was, their brains corresponded. The areas of their brain that encodes the pleasantness of an experience, which is the medial orbital frontal cortex, MOFC, was more active with the more expensive wine. Now, the volunteers tasted one wine with 5 different stories. It was the exact same wine, but the stories around what the value was different. And they experienced more pleasure, and their brain registered more pleasure when they were drinking a more expensive wine, even though it was the same wine. So money can communicate with us just below our level of conscious awareness. And money speaks to us as a confidant, as a seducer, as an adversary, as a protector, or even it can serve as a drug. And money serves as a tangible container for hope, freedom, ambition, love, or disappointment. And so money is the one true metaphor that can stand for almost anything. That's why I asked you before, all right, to tell me what money is, because everybody's going to have a different meaning for what money is. So here's what I would like you to do next. I want you to do just a little quiz now, and I want you to say out loud the single answer to these questions. Ready? My current annual income is, just give me one number. My current annual income is, question number 2. In order to ensure happiness and contentment financially, with no more money problems or worries, my annual income would need to be, okay, I'm going to repeat that one more time, okay? In order for me to ensure happiness and contentment with no more money problems or worries, my annual income would need to be. So give me that number, all right? Now, let me share something with you. This money quiz has been asked of thousands of people all over the world. And in more than 9 out of 10 cases, 9 out of 10 people, okay, their answers indicate that their income would need to be about twice what their current level of income is for them to feel happy and free from money worries. So for example, if someone was making $50,000 a year, they believed that it would take roughly $100,000 a year to be financially content. And if somebody made $500,000 a year, all right, they felt they would need to make $1 million a year to be financially content. And so people tend to believe that doubling their income would cause them to be financially happy and content. And in discussions with people who took this poll, the people who have actually doubled their income over that time, where they said they would be happy and content, all right, what happened to them? They started to raise the bar and claim that it would now take $200,000 for them to be content. So they went from $50,000 to $100,000 initially, and when they got there, they changed the bar of what it would be or what it would take for them to be happy and content. And so the thing I want to point out to you is this. When it comes to money, there's no end point of how much you're going to want. There's no limit to what you don't have. And so you keep raising the bar. And when you focus on more, on what you don't have, you in many cases will ensure dissatisfaction somewhere along the line. And so the key to understand here is even when you change the numbers, the story remains the same. The story in this case is I need twice as much as I have to be happy. And that's just one common example around money out of dozens on how irrational and how hypnotic and compelling money can be. And the secret money language that we all have is really around the meaning that you give money and how it becomes most developed by your deepest emotionally powerful desires, mostly from childhood. And your current unmet needs. Let me make sure you understand this. You may want to write this down. Your current unmet needs show up as your symbolic wants. Your current unmet needs show up as your symbolic wants. So what you need right now, okay, is what you symbolically will want. And that is the gap that we want to bridge. Now, unfortunately, a desire is not quieted by its satisfaction. A desire is not quieted by its satisfaction. And very often, more desires are created. Just like I shared with you, the people that were already earning 2 or 3 times more, they raise the bar again. And some people think that money is a reflection of their self-worth, and so they keep wanting to raise that bar over and over and over again. What I can share with you is no amount of money is going to fill the void if you don't have self-worth. And that's why in this program, we're working on your beliefs, your self-worth. That is really the key here. And money is a way for us to think that we know that we're getting exactly what we want. And we think, okay, that money will guarantee that our expectations will be met. And in many cases, it doesn't. So I want you to stop for just a moment, put this video on pause, and just put a few notes in the journal right now of what you just took away, from the last 10 minutes about the money story, all right? Take just 1 or 2 minutes, put this on pause, go down the journal, and just type in a few notes that you want to remind yourself of on the money story, the external or internal dialogue, and then come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the money story. All right, so welcome back. And the purpose for all of this foundation work around your money story is because when you understand why you repeat the same money story and achieve the same results over and over again, you can then make the decision to change the internal and external money story. See, your money story is consistently repeating itself Because it's your current comfort zone. Your current comfort zone, as I mentioned in the last training, creates security and predictability for you. And your brain, all right, its responsibility is to keep you alive, keep you secure, and to create predictability for you. And your comfort zone may be limiting and maybe even uncomfortable, but pay close attention. It's familiar. It's the default model. It's the go-to model for your brain. And you repeat it because you know how it will turn out. You repeat the same pattern, predictability, because you know how it will turn out. And what that does from a neuroscience and neuropsychology perspective is it creates the illusion of effectiveness. It creates the illusion of effectiveness because it's predictable. As we're changing your new money story and creating your new money story, here's what's going to happen. A new money story generates uncertainty and trepidation, little fear. The easiest and fastest way to end this discomfort is to go back to the familiar, your old story. Do you remember in the last video I shared with you that you may start to rationalize, you may have doubts or fears or self-talk that's negative? People fail to change because they don't feel safe changing. Changing means leaving home base of their current reality and the internal map that is synonymous with their safety and identity. And guess what your brain wants to do? And mine as well. It wants to return to our default mode. It wants to return to our default mode, which is safety, secure, and predictable. And so there is always the pull of the old against the pull of the new and the fear of the new. So we have this one part of us that wants to be pulled forward towards our new financial goals and dreams that drive some of our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors. And there's the other part that wants to pull us back for safety and security. And so this is the reason why change is difficult in our brains and on our emotions. Now you may remember the world famous hypnotherapist Milton Erickson. He told a story from his childhood, which he said whenever it snowed, he would be the first to get up to go to school so that he could create a new set of fresh footprints in the snow on a new path. And he intentionally created this circuitous path with zigzags and indirect turns. And he noticed that each person who followed him took the same path until at the end of the day, the path was well worn despite its circuitous route of zigzagging back and forth. And he realized that no one started a new, more direct route. No matter how many turns and twists he put in the initial trail, each person that followed him followed the path of least resistance. Each person that followed him followed the path of least resistance. Why am I sharing this with you? Because this is how neural pathways are laid down and created in the brain by early experiences, then repeated until they are etched more deeply, even if they don't work as well, even if they require way more work. So to think creatively, to create new neural pathways, to get them to be developed outside the cycle of your current experiences, what you need to do is create new stimulation for insight in a circumstance where your brain can't predict what will happen next. The catalyst is insight, and the catalyst of insight is a novel new stimulus and information in the brain or new context. Why are we giving you brain retraining audios to listen to? Because that's what we're doing. We're creating some discomfort and uncertainty to help you begin a significant journey of change. And our brains even have something known as an error detection mechanism, which is located very close to the emotional center of the brain that says, this isn't normal. See, when you try something new, your brain's going, this isn't normal, this isn't predictable, this isn't secure, this isn't safe. That's just what it's supposed to do. And we'll talk to you about this and show you how to use this mechanism as part of a powerful internal navigation system, like a GPS system. And what happens when you start to use this GPS system is it makes change a lot more predictable. And many of the methods to facilitate change are contrary to how the mind and brain work. And neuroscience and smart strategic coaching have a lot to teach us about change and our resistance to change. And so when we put this into a full circle, our money story tells us less about money and more about the human mind and how it operates. And at times, both of our minds and our brains can work against us instead of for us. But when you understand how to create a new money story and you create a new map for change, it becomes easier and easier to lay down these new neural pathways, your beliefs, your habits, your perceptions, and your behaviors. And we're going to incorporate some of the groundbreaking research from different disciplines, okay, from our coaching, from our training, and in our community to help you understand how to deal with this resistance to change. And we're going to guide you with new strategies for change. So we're going to upgrade your knowledge and your skills. And we're going to use something called emotional economics to help you make better money decisions, whether it's earning, managing, investing, or protecting your wealth. And we're going to teach you how to outsmart your brain and how to reprogram your mind and rewire your brain to create the wealth and success for yourself. And guess what? You've already started in watching these videos and in starting with your brain retraining audios. Now, as you know, neuroscientists study the responses and functioning of the brain through functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, which is basically a video showing the brain in action and how it responds to different situations. And the studies that are coming out right now are disproving the long-standing assumption that people have a consistent, predictable set of preferences and responses that they choose based on logic. We know that different parts of the brain operate in radically different ways, including and especially your emotional part of your brain, the limbic system. And although you don't need to know everything about your brain, our team does know how to help you maximize its effectiveness as you progress through your training over the next 3, 6, 12 months, etc. And the important thing for you to know around your money story is that you really have to start discerning what is working for you as it relates to your money story. What are the components that are working and what needs fixing? The ones that don't work for you, you just need to revise it. And in order to do that for your money story and your life story, what you need to really start to do is think about what are you associating money to? And your life can be dramatically different and significantly more valuable, how's that, by changing your money story. And what you're going to find is money is a magnifier. It magnifies adversity. It reveals character. Whoever the person is, okay, before money, money will exaggerate that. So if a person, for example, is a problem drinker, money will make them more of a drunk in most cases. If somebody's insecure, money will make them paranoid and more insecure. If somebody is caring and generous, money will help them become even more caring and more generous and even a bigger philanthropist. So what I want you to do from this training, and I'm going to just build one training after the next, is the assignment for you for this week. other than listening to your level 2 audios, is I want you to start thinking about your money story. And I want you to really use the journal section on this page. And when we're done with this, before you listen to level 2 audios, what I want you to do is think about this. What is it that you'd really love your money story to be? So build upon what you did earlier and start to create your money story. What I can promise you is it's going to change over the next 3 months and 6 months. How do I know this? Because it changes for everybody who gets to understand that they can create their own money story and they can create their own references and associations. And so right now, what is the money story that you want to have? Why not choose a money story that will empower you to move forward, that'll give you the opportunity to create a bigger, grander version of your life? All right, so go down to the journal section, okay, in here, and just type in a few notes about what you'd love your money story to be. And be free. Dream. Use your imagination as you have in the past. And what we'll do in the next video training is I'm going to show you 7 steps to help you better understand your money story so that you can create a new, more empowering one. And what I can share with you is that once you understand the different aspects to your money story, you'll really be able to start constructing a powerful new money story. So for now, I'm going to keep the assignments really simple and easy and really get you to focus on your audio training as you learn about your money story. And what I'd like you to do next is go down to the journal, write down a little bit on your money story, and then start with your daily brain retraining audio. So make sure you've got headphones on, make sure you are focused, make sure that you are in a relaxed state, and as you know, I will guide you through the entire brain retraining. All you need to do is set the intention to absorb what you're going to hear, what you're going to listen to. Stay focused, stay alert, open eyes, open your heart, and for the next 7 days, listen to level 2 every day. If you want, by the way, after you listen to it intently one time for one day, you could play it in the background more often if you'd like during the week as well. But listen to it every day in a focused, attentive way. And this audio training is all about creating the awareness and the neural pathways for you to be in resonance and alignment with attracting wealth. All right, be in alignment with attracting wealth. And I consider the alignment as the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, or SEMP as I call it, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. So remember, be relaxed, be focused, pay attention, get your emotion behind it, do it every day for 7 weeks, and I will be back next week with another training video. I hope you had a great time listening to this and learning. Remember to go down to the journal and then start on your audios. Have an amazing week.